everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is Tim Sure. I'm so glad to be with you today, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about beliefs.
Here's the question. What's going on inside the minds of top achievers that cause them to make extraordinary breakthroughs both personally and professionally? My name is Tim Sure, and I invite you to join me as we take a deep dive into the unconscious mind and discover how to transform your biggest dreams into a reality. Welcome to the How to Be Mesmerizing podcast.
Your beliefs drive all the decisions that you make from behind the scenes, mostly at an unconscious level. And if we don't know what's driving us, how in the world can we create bigger changes in our life? In fact, most of the people that have come to me were not able to achieve their goal because they had beliefs that they didn't even know they had. So if you're struggling with your weight, or you're struggling with an addiction or a bad habit, or you can't seem to take your business to the next level, or you keep attracting the same type of person in relationships, or whatever it may be, it's almost always, I can guarantee, there's some limiting belief that's holding you back or in your way. And we need to have a garage sale and donate all that stuff that you don't need anymore. Our beliefs are often developed when we're kids, and so we have a whole bunch of childish beliefs. And if these beliefs are not serving you, then we need to upgrade them and help you develop a stronger, more mature adult mindset so that you can start creating your life by design because you have more control over what's driving you. Your beliefs are created, like I said, often when you're kids. You know, when we're kids, we're not born with a set of beliefs. We have a certain temperament. So some tend to be more optimists and solution finders, and others tend to be more troubleshooters. So some are good at finding solutions, some are good at recognizing problems. They're both great strategies. And but as far as the ideas that we get, it's your brain assessing meaning from everything and trying to come up with strategies for keeping you from being hurt, right? The brain's main objective is survival, and it wants to keep you safe, and it's always trying to help you avoid pain and create more certainty, security, and pleasure. And it's funny because your brain can often get confused, and it can make associations that are false or incorrect. It can actually cause you to do things to avoid pain that actually create more pain in your life. I've seen that all the time. Humans are brilliant at doing things to avoid pain that create more pain, like eating for comfort and then wanting to lose weight and getting stressed about it, so you eat more. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Or people who have, I've worked with people who had stage 4 lung cancer who refused to stop smoking because it was the only thing that made them feel better. Huh? Right? Or someone who can't quit drinking, you know, and they drink because of all the problems that they have that are because of drinking. And so, again, it's a classic. We even have a term for it. We call it self-sabotage. And so what we want to do is recognize what are the beliefs that are driving you, because they're just ideas, they're just opinions, they're just associations that your mind has created. And luckily, you're not your mind. You're the creator. You're the what do I call it? Like the conductor, you know, of the orchestra in your head. So, because you have the ability to step back and recognize your thoughts. So you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just a part of you, and you have the ability to step back and shift those thoughts. I'm not sure any other creature on this planet can do that, but we can. It's an amazing gift, and so we should be using it and taking advantage of it. So, let me tell you a couple stories about limiting beliefs and what you can do about them. So I always thought I had no musical talent whatsoever. And I don't know where I came up with that idea. I would walk by a piano and think, boy, I wish I could sit down and play that piano. And sometimes I would sit down and bang on the keys and you know, nothing really great came out of that. I couldn't play any beautiful music. And so I thought, I just have no musical talent. So I was leading a group on a beliefs workshop, and on the way home, that belief that I had of not being able to play music or not having any musical talent popped up in my mind. And I thought, all right, let me run myself through this workshop. Okay, so I asked myself, where did I get that idea that I can't play? And I was like, I have no idea. And I said, well, what if I did have an idea? What would I come up with? And I thought, well, I guess because when I sit down and play the piano, I can't play anything. And then I thought, well, have you ever had any lessons? No. Have you ever sat down and spent a couple of months focusing on playing one particular song and getting it down? No. Have you ever asked somebody who knows how to play the piano to sit down and teach you a couple tricks? No. So wait a second. I've been telling myself my whole life that I have no musical talent based on nothing. Based on the fact that I couldn't sit down and do something. Well, then I guess I have no ability to speak a foreign language either, because I can't just suddenly speak Russian. But have I had any Russian lessons? No. Well, what's the deal then, right? And that is as silly as it can be sometimes, right? I've heard people that say that I can't learn. I'm just dumb. I can't learn. And I take them back through a hypnosis session, and it comes to find out that he had a great relationship with his dad. I'm thinking of one guy in particular. He had a great relationship with his dad, but one time when this gentleman that came to see me was like 7 years old, he was in his garage with his dad, and his dad got mad about something and was trying to teach his son something. And he just got stressed out and mad, and he said, "Man, you can't learn anything, can you?" And it was the only time the guy ever remembered his dad snapping at him. But remember what I said in a past podcast, that sometimes an idea will stick if there's enough emotional intensity behind it. And when your dad, who is a big role model for you, often, not always, but often, that doesn't usually snap at you, when he does, whatever comes out of his mouth tends to stick, and it did. So for this gentleman, he had this idea that he can't learn nothing because his dad told him that one time when he was a little kid, and it stuck, and it stayed with him his whole life. And once we shifted that, it was like, oh my gosh. You know, the only bad thing about discovering something like that is we look back and we're like, how much time have we wasted? But use that as a motivation. I'm not going to waste another second, right? And that's what I decided. I'm going to stop telling myself that I have no musical talent. So I didn't want to devote the time to learning how to play the piano, because my passion is serving you and helping people achieve their goals. So I bought a harmonica and I started watching videos on YouTube, and I started reading the little manual that came with it, and I learned a couple of songs on the harmonica that I can still play today if I wanted to, and now I can play. I don't tell myself I don't have any musical talent, because now I can play the harmonica. And when I sit down in front of a piano, I just freestyle now. I just kind of slowly play and hit chords. And I've had people, if I was in a public place and no one was around and I just sat down and started playing, maybe because I had a cocktail or two, and I don't really drink much anymore, but every once in a while I have one. And if there's a piano around, I sit down and I just start playing it. And I had someone come up one time and say, "That's beautiful. How long have you been playing?" And it just reinforced this new belief that if I wanted to play, I could. And see, that opens up a whole new possibility. Instead of telling myself what I can't do, I start telling myself what I can do. Instead of saying, what if it doesn't work, I think, what if it does, right? Or what if it would and I don't try? Oh, that's even worse. That causes pain for me. And so I have shifted that belief. I got my shift together, and you can too. Now, let me give you one more example. It has to do with money, because back in the day, I was an excellent change worker, a great practitioner, and broke as hell, right? I had no money. And I find that a lot of practitioners are broke because they care so much about helping people, but they don't want to learn anything about business. And when you don't learn anything about business, you don't grow, right? How can you make more money if you don't know how to market and sell and position yourself and toot your own horn? But a lot of people are uncomfortable with that, which is a belief, okay? It always comes back to our beliefs. So, getting out of my car real quick, heading to my office, taking you with me. Okay, so here's my second story. So I remember I hired a coach to help me get through my stuff, because, I'm a big believer in coaching. And if you can find someone who's going to get you farther faster and show you the shortcuts, I mean, if they've already been down the path that you are on, and they've already fell into the potholes or figured out where the stumbling stones are, and they can show you how to get around it or not fall into that,
I mean, that's just smart to do that. And I've always hired the coaches that I couldn't afford because I knew they'd be the best ones, and they were. So it's why I charge a lot of money now, but I didn't back then. And so, I paid for a coach on my credit card because I didn't have any cash, and hoped and prayed that this was going to work. Got a lot of testimonials from a lot of people said, oh yeah, that person's awesome. And so I went for it. And here's what he said. He said, you are charging for single sessions. He says you need to charge for packages. So instead of doing one, get them to pay for 10 and give them a small discount for paying in advance, and charge them interest if they want to make payments. And that will set them up correctly to follow through and commit. It will actually increase their motivation because the more people invest, the more serious they take it. And you will start putting more cash in your pocket, which will take pressure off of you and help you feel better. So when I first started doing sessions, I was charging $30 a session. Or actually it was $35 a session, $60 for 2, which, you got to start somewhere, right? That was like back in when? Oh my goodness. That was a long time ago. So that was like in 1993 or something. And so then I went to maybe $100 a session. It took a long time for me to get to $100. And then I got all the way up to $150 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool, right? But then after a while, your lifestyle goes up along with your paycheck. And then it was like, geez, I'm not going to be able to accomplish the stuff I want doing that. And so I remember that after working with this guy, he said, I want you to start charging, $2,700 for, this package. And I'm like, what? I can't, what? No one's going to pay me that. Are you crazy? Here are the beliefs. No one's going to pay me that. I'm not worth that. My other belief was people can't afford that because I couldn't afford it. So I just basically put my beliefs onto other people. We call it projection, right? And so I just assumed if I couldn't do something, other people couldn't do it. And if I was broke, then I assumed everybody else was broke. And then, of course, I was attracting broke people because what you focus on expands. And so that's when I realized, I got to try to break this. And so I committed to my coach. I paid him that money. So I decided it would just be plain old dumb to pay somebody all that money and then not take their advice, which I do see people do that all the time. So, but I don't think it's a very bright idea. So anyway, I committed, and I remember telling this woman I remember it to this day. I remember looking at her, and I told her the program, and I was a little nervous, but I tried to not show it. And I said, and this is the program, and it's going to transform your life, and you're going to love it. And it's $2,700 for the program. How do you want to pay for that, cash, check, or charge? And she said, will you take a check? And I was like, yes. Like, okay. I'm like handing her a pen, bowing, like, thank you. Like, I couldn't believe it, right? And I was blessed because maybe my first experience, they would have said, oh, that's too much, or I can't afford it. And it might have reinforced that fearful belief. Oh, see, I told you, I knew this was going to be, even though if that happens, what you do is say, let them do the payment plan, stick to your plan, and then tell the next person the same thing, and then tell the next person the same thing. And now, and so now when I'm charging somebody for a program, I might be charging them $100,000 for something, and it's worth more than that, right? I still think they're getting a deal because I've worked so hard to be able to be excellent at what I do, and I know the value because I've seen the value for almost 30 years. So I know what people are getting. So I feel much more confident. But every once in a while, something will push a button. And so again, just remember that wherever you're at, you can get farther. All you have to do is change a belief, right? So you probably have everything you need already. You just have some beliefs that are in your way, and we've got to shift that. And so anyway, so I want you to think about that today. Okay, I've got to run. I've got clients waiting for me. So, but I want you to think about that today. I want you to think about what you can do to start building up a new set of beliefs, right? In fact, the next podcast, I'm going to take you through a little beliefs workshop little exercise to help you start to shift some of these limiting beliefs. But I want you to start thinking to yourself, what's going on in my life? Where am I at? And what would I have to believe in order for this to be happening? And start to identify what those limiting beliefs might be. And that'll be step one. Once you start to recognize what some of those limiting beliefs or fears are, then we can go into step two, which is how do you change them? And we'll talk about that next time. So, all right, thanks so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate you, and make today count, okay? Make it a sure success, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com. And also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Scher. Thanks so much, and make your day a sure success.